So, the fourth closed beta test for the air mode has been released, and I believe this might be one of the last ones. I would say there is a good chance that there is going to be a fifth closed beta test for the air mode, but this is definitely one of the last ones, and after that we can expect the air mode to be officially released. Now, as usually, I'll be playing the air mode with the maximum possible settings, because why not? Also noticed the frame rate actually very important for the aircraft, so I'll definitely be playing this a lot more often on 120 FPS, since I already have a pretty good device here. I also love how when I turn on ray tracing, the heat does go down. I actually use ray tracing to keep the thermals down, which does work really well, and you can definitely notice the difference on the thermometer there. Now, I have been asked a lot of times, what is this little monitor? What is this application? Well, it's a simple system monitor, which does give you the accurate internal temperature of your GPU or CPU, whatever you want to monitor basically, and it is extremely useful, and as you probably know, I've been using this for, well, ever since I've been playing the game. This little monitor has been up mostly just to, know how hot my device gets inside, because again, very important to keep the temperatures in check. Usually I keep the temperatures below 60 or around 60, but for the air mode, if I decide to play this a lot more actively, yeah, I might end up playing this on my tablet, because I don't like the heat. I mean, it's normal. The optimal temperature for this device is shockingly 95 degrees Celsius. That's the expected temperature. I'm actually doing really well with 8180 at the moment. Now, we have seen all of these aircraft before. I think the planes are from air mode closed beta test 3, I believe. Since I know or was it the second test? I honestly forgot. I just know that the last one that I actually managed to record a lot early than most, because I just was at the right time, in the right moment, was with the more advanced fighters. Now, I'm not a fan of this one. It is a very fast, definitely a very fast fighter, and it should not be used in turn bells. So yeah, it's not gonna work. I've been using this like an interceptor. That's not a good idea, but I'll use the LA5. I love this little thing. Should be an interceptor. It's very agile, and it has a very nasty machine gun autocannon. Out of the 4 planes available here, this is my favorite for sure. They have I can say that they have improved the controls. It does feel a lot more natural now, although could also very well be my frame rate, which is well above 100 FPS in this case. So FPS, I feel like FPS helps. Now, I'm using on-screen controls. I'm using the display to maneuver the plane around, mostly because I need to have a cooler below my device, the famous ice block, as I like to call it, to keep the thermals in check and to prevent throttling. That's why I can't use the gyroscope. Gyroscope might be the way to go. I would actually recommend, if you have the gyroscope option, use it. I feel like most players will go after the gyroscope option. I would probably stick with the on-screen controls, because I need to keep this thing cooled as much as I can. I mean, I could just switch to 60 FPS, but I would feel like, yeah, 60 FPS for flying, it feels a little bit too low for me. For tanks, I can manage on 60 just fine, but on the aircraft mode, 100 plus is kind of a I guess a must-have for me, at least in my case. I know not many devices can actually get this frame rate, so the air mode should be actually quite easy to run. After all, you are flying. There is no tree, there is no objects. So should actually be quite easy to run, much easier than tank battles. Tank battles are definitely taxing, that's for sure. Okay, I really like this little jet. Jet. Listen, yeah, I just called a propeller aircraft jet. My apologies. I really like this little interceptor. The LA-5 is definitely my favorite out of the four that we have. I prefer aircraft that have high mobility, although you also can use the Mustang if you like. It has very good firepower for sure, but you have to, you know, play it like it should be played. What I did on the start is kind of an epic fail because it's not really designed to turn. You just fly around and intercept, shoot, and then take range. And then you basically repeat. With interceptors you can do turn battles quite easily. After all, they're designed to do that, you know, to intercept things. So I also noticed zooming in actually helps me a lot. It might appear a little bit clumsy when you zoom in, but in my case, for my controls here, I actually do like to zoom in when I'm shooting at the enemy aircraft. Okay, now let me demonstrate the heat outputs. I will definitely love to play air mode on winter, that's for sure. There we go. Temperatures still 80 degrees Celsius. I actually rarely let this device get this warm. Internally, outside, I don't feel anything. It's ice cold because of the ice block, but I rarely let the GPU get this warm. It should handle it just fine, since it's designed to do that. But I still don't like to see those temperatures, just a little bit under boiling point, and it's kind of funny. But for this one battle, it should, you know, should be able to handle it just fine. Should be able to handle it just fine for this one little battle. Okay, that's a bomber, a revenge bomber. Well, I mean, yeah, it is still a revenge bomber, of course. That someone else is going to get the kill. Let's keep flying around and let's keep up. Should have aimed, but this was the smarter choice. And I have to be careful of my ammunition. I don't have a lot of ammo left. Well, yeah, they are on fire. Should be more than enough. They will crash for sure. Their plane is not in a very good shape, so I can, there we go, now I can just reload. Honestly speaking, I think I do like now the controls feel much better. The ping is also much better than before. I feel like I had a lot of ghost ping last time when I played the closed beta test. I was struggling with the controls. The aircraft did not want to go where I wanted to go. It was flying in its own way. And some of the previous planes have been bad speed-wise. Basically, you start fast and then you are unable to build up speed. That was fixed, I believe. Should be fixed. And am I going to be lucky? Oh, that was a head. Oh, I need to maybe do a slow motion on that. I think that was a headshot on the pilot there. That was kinda scary to think about. Ouch. Well, I mean, the pilot did not feel anything, but I am very sure it was a headshot. Didn't even intend to do that. There we go. I love this. I'm actually glad that I practiced earlier with zooming in, since it doesn't feel as clumsy as it used to be. And surprisingly, I actually don't really rely on the marker to shoot stuff. Or when you're aiming, even at the smallest aim, the marker will be outside of the screen, so you can't really rely on the marker when you're zooming in. One thing to keep in mind. I almost crashed into that aircraft there. Hey, I'm actually top spot in the team. That's a first. Usually, I don't know, I would say it was a well played battle. If we ignore the rough start, should have picked the LA-5 right from the very beginning. Although the air battles do feel a little bit different from the tank and ship battles. But you definitely can expect. I would suggest Start with your least favorite plane, and then when the first plane gets shot down, the second plane you can take the best one you have, the favorite. That's I think what I'm going to do, because when I start with my favorite plane, usually that gets shot down very quickly, because the start is just like that, very all over the place. So afterwards, I usually take the better aircraft, and I would say it does work really well. Okay, well, that was a very successful first battle that I've had with this close beta test. Very happy with the result. Ignoring the rough start, that was just me being me at the start of the battle, usually happens. Yeah, anyway, so that's usually what you can expect from the, you know, fighters and interceptors. That's usually the experience that you can get from them. However, last time I don't remember flying the revenge bombers, so let's take a revenge bomber for a spin and let's see how this thing will work. Now, bombers in air mode will have a specific job, specific purpose. Your job will primarily be with a bomber to eliminate the enemy base. And of course you can also bomb the enemy ground vehicles, also an objective. That's why it's still called a revenge bomber, because in tank battles, when you are flying revenge bombers, you usually take the bomber for revenge, and that's where the name the revenge bomber comes from. Now, bombers, or in this case revenge bombers, are actually a bit more complex than the normal fighters, because you have different modes. You have the bombing mode, you also have the aircraft piloting mode, you also have the first person perspective mode, you also have the gunner perspectives that you can choose and use to shoot down enemy fighters that approach you. Bombers also start at a much higher altitude, and getting to the bombers can be quite troublesome. I would suggest that if you do play bombers, I have to admit one thing, flying the bombers is, I would say, much more relaxing and much more enjoyable than flying the fighters, because let me tell you, flying the fighters is stressful, because you have to do dogfights, you have to, you know, it requires a lot of input and it can be stressful. The bomber life is easy. I mean, just fly one line, go to the enemy base, drop the bombs, and repeat the job. And you can also get a lot of points by doing so. The bases, I think 500 points per base is what you can expect, if you manage to destroy a full base, that is. Which is actually not too bad. It is rewarding for sure. And if you want to earn points, you can definitely earn points with the revenge bombers. Some of them have missiles. You can use those missiles to yeet at the base, or you can use the missiles to, you know, yeet the ground targets, ground vehicles. But primarily with a bomber, your job is to shoot down the base and the ground vehicles. Aircraft is secondary, only if you are being approached by an enemy aircraft. And that's where you do have some defenses. Not all bombers have defenses, some of them don't have machine guns. And this is the bomb launch, or the bomb view, as I like to call it. However, I don't really rely on the bomb launch view that often. I just go third person, just because I get distracted a lot, and usually that's when a fighter, just because visibility is a thing, I prefer third person, so I can actually see what's happening on my bomber here. And let's see, you have to wait for the bombs to drop, of course, and should do some damage on the base, hopefully. Well, I'm quite high up in the sky, so it takes a while for the bombs to drop. There we go. Some decent damage. Now, depending on what bombs you have, I think this bomber doesn't have some very big bombs, has 10 of them, but depending on the bomb, some of the bombers can actually one-shot the base, depending on how many kilograms the bomb is. The larger the bomb, the more damage it will do. And of course, some of them are dive bombers, and this one seems to be the classic type of bomber. Let me actually try to dive, just to see if it will work. But based on the reticle, yeah, it's not gonna work. Diving is not an option with this bomber. Okay, fair enough. But I'll try it regardless. Yeah, red reticle means diving is not an option, but the bombs cannot be launched. Well then, let me fly around a little bit. I mean, we can actually appreciate how good this game actually looks. Although I'm playing on maximum settings with ray tracing on, but still, the game looks very nice, very pretty. I love it. And honestly, flying, I mean, there's definitely a unique charm to it when you're flying. You can actually go all out on the graphics. Should be manageable if I can do it. Most of you can do it probably as well. Yeah, I am not going to be able to launch any more bombs on that base. Let's just go to the next base, which is over there, and I have 9 bombs left. And let's yeet the bombs. There we go. More bombs. There we go. And reloading. If this was realistic mode, if this game had realistic mode, I would actually have to fly all the way back to the base, land, reload, and then start the aircraft again. Which might actually find its way into the game. There we go. I have destroyed one base. 200 points. Not bad, I'll take. So it was 200 points, not 500. There are some little issues with the air mode, but I'm fairly sure the developers will fix that, address that, so at the end of the day it's not a big deal. Mainly the point reward system might actually be reworked. That's one of the things that I would say might need a rework, or not exactly needs a rework, but you know, maybe adjust the points a little bit so that every player will have a role depending on what aircraft they pick. I would say every aircraft should get should be equally as rewarding, you know. Bombers are important to reduce the number of enemy points, while the fighters can also be used to reduce the number of enemy points, and they can be used to help out the revenge bombers with the enemy fighters. And someone stole my kill. Isn't that lovely? Wasted my bombs for nothing. Wish that my bombs actually did. I might have missed the first time around. Who knows? That was kind of funny, but this is what you would expect from the classic revenge bomber experience. Of course, you might get a lot more points depending on what bomber you're flying, or depending on how lucky you get with the bombing runs. Let me just try to bomb some of the ground targets right there. Reload finished, and let's yeet the bombs. Oh, okay, let's not eat the bombs just yet. Just a little bit further and I can start unloading. We will definitely win this match, that's for sure. Okay, bombs have been launched, and let's just launch one more and then reload. Okay, reloading. Hopefully at least one bomb lands in its place. There we go. Well, at least one. So that would be the 4th closed beta test for the air modes. I gotta say, there's been a lot of improvements and I like that. There are some little issues that will definitely have to be fixed, but for the most part, I would say 90%. I would say that the air mode seems to be ready for official release. There might be one more mode with jets. That will be the 5th closed beta test, maybe next month. We will see. But so far I've been pretty happy with how this played out, and well, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and so I'll see you next time.